Thank you, everybody. It's wonderful to be back here on the Gold Coast. It's been a decade or so for me, but this time I'm here to talk to you, if I could, about Solstice Minerals. We are a cashed-up gold explorer in WA. We love greenfields exploration, and we're really excited about the potential of some of these prospects. We operate about 150 kilometres from Kalgoorlie to the northeast. This is deep in the heart of WA's goldfields. It offers us a really enticing mix of pure greenfields exploration, which is the exciting stuff. It's undercover, and some advanced properties that are RC drill ready. I haven't seen any work for decades. We're in a fantastic cash position at the minute with $17.5 million at June 30. That gives us a good deal of operational flexibility, and we can look at building our current asset base or taking on new and exciting business development opportunities. We've seen a few battles as a board and management team. We've had some wins in the past, and we're hopeful that we can take Solstice on exactly the same journey. Just quickly on the history of the company, it was born from a spin-out of a company called OreCorp, which was taken over by Perseus this year. Through that spin-out and connections, we've inherited a really strong, a high net worth investor base, including names that everyone recognises. A couple of really well-known stock-picking funds that operate exclusively in resources are on the register and have been building their positions. And the reason they're doing that is because with 100 million shares out, the capital raised at 20 cents, with $17 million in the bank, we're cash backed. The share price is cash. We've got an EV effectively of 0, which means the assets provide terrific leverage to any exploration success we may have. I won't go into the details of us too much, but there's 3 geologists and a mining engineer on the board. We've got a few grey hairs or no hairs between us. I'll show you some of the transactional stuff we've done in the past, but 2 of the directors have worked as brokers or analysts and funds management, so we can do the technical work, and we also understand the market-facing side of the business. And over in Perth, we've got a really small, lean, mean exploration team that looks after the current properties. Now, that's the people. The deal-ready side, we've just recently sold, a couple of months ago, sold a gold tenement that sat inside our Yarrie project area to Northern Star for $12.5 million cash. That's joined some of the remnant funds that we raised at 20 cents, so it puts us in a position that we can really move forward. Naturally, it's a bit of a buyer's market at the minute, so we're seeing a lot of deal flow and ideas put to us. Between us, myself and the rest of the board, we've, over the journey, managed to take 5 companies from acquisition through resource drill out to some early studies and corporate action. So you can't always pick a winner, but we've picked a few in our time. Most recently for me, just south of Solstice's tenement position, I ran a company called Apollo Consolidated, which was taken over by Ramelius a couple of years ago, and Matt Yates's company, OreCorp, was taken over by Perseus this year. Right, we've got 3 project areas, but today, if I could, I'll just talk you through Yarrie, which is where we're most excited. It's a very large ground position, 150 kilometres to the northeast of Kalgoorlie. We're crisscrossed by infrastructure. There's haul roads going in every direction. A lot of them come down from the north through our tenement group and end up at Carosue Dam Mill, which is one of the Northern Star operations. That's where we sold our gold asset this year. We know we can deliver gold to either a standalone treatment plant in this area, because it's clearly an area that we can develop new deposits, or take it to a nearby mill. So we've got a lot of flexibility inside this large tenement package. It's my backyard. It's all of our backyard. I think I drilled some holes out here straight out of university, and have been operating in this area forever. We've got a really good data set and understand where the previous work was done and where we should take exploration going forwards. Geologically, we're explorers. We love the greenfield work. We love this area because it's soil covered. And what soil means is that there's a blanket of material on top of the geology that has prevented previous explorers from really understanding its true potential. So there's a slide on this side, the photo of that drill chips on the right there. That's a typical profile in our ground. On the far left, those deep red colours, that's looks like 20 metres of transported cover. Then you go into weathered rock, and then you go into fresh rock, which are the grey colours there. Oftentimes in WA, you don't get any geochemical response whatsoever until you get into those grey rocks. So if you've been working on surface samples or shallow drilling, you may not have found anything. And that was our experience at Rebecca, the Apollo Consolidated discovery, and we're thinking it might be the case in many of the properties that we hold. Because of this cover, it's under-tested. So we're exclusively looking for projects, for our exploration targets are areas where we follow structure and geochemical responses into transported cover. And we're there with air core drilling, doing the first ever drilling there. There's a slide in the deck we put out this morning that's really busy. It shows a lot of our targets. But what I want to do now is just break down, in simple terms, just the reason we like this area. I spoke about cover. We've got 3 big salt lake systems that slice through the area. They are transported profiles, and they're surrounded by transported profiles. So yeah, between 10 and 50 metres of transported cover is where we operate. So we selected it specifically because it's under-tested. But there's also a hell of a lot of gold. So there's 5+ million ounce deposits in the neighbourhood. Sunrise Dam and Karasu have been in operations for over 20 years, I think. They're gigantic. The discovery we made at Apollo Consolidated is down in the bottom right of that image. We found 1 million ounces under 20 metres of cover there, and we're operating in very similar terrain. You can see a porphyry operation of Northern Star sitting smack in the middle of our tenement group. Now, the reason there's so much gold here is because there's a lot of structure, and there's 2 big belts that have names and are studied. Combined, there's probably 10 million ounces of gold in both of these belts. It's certainly a place that's a lot of structural preparation. We know that because there's a lot of gold. So each of those yellow dots is either a gold working or a drill hole that's got more than 1 gram per tonne gold in the hole. And that really paints a picture of where the structures are, where they trend, where they might go into our tenements. Now switching to aeromagnetics, which is pretty much our primary tool for doing our targeting work undercover. You can see there's yellow dots inside our tenements and external to our tenements. The reason there's not many dots in some of these areas is because it's transported profile and the work hasn't been done. So that's the opportunity, and that's why we've been selecting ground specifically that gives us the best potential. There's a couple of areas where there are yellow dots, and there are RC targets. So hopefully, with full permitting, we'll get an RC rig onto 2 projects at the back end of this year. Both of them have got decent intercepts already. We think we can see a way towards resource-type drilling on both of those. And then, to finish off this slide, there's a stack of greenfield targets, which are these red shapes. Generally, they're 2 kilometres of undrilled terrain with the right structural preparation and a bit of geochemistry that takes you into the area, says it's a good idea to drill there. And the way we test those is with this air core rig. And the air core rig's extremely fast, very efficient, really cheap style of drilling. So our business this year has been drilling into those red target areas. Each one of those is under-tested. And I'll show you a couple of those positions as we go forwards. Right, a couple of the advanced prospects. This hasn't probably been drilled since the early 90s. It took a little while to put all of the intercepts together and understand the system. There's about a kilometre long trend of little gold workings, and and rock chips with more than 1 gram gold in it. When we compile up the data, it turns out that there's quite a strong structural orientation towards the south with a series of south plunging shoots. But more importantly, there's a lot of gold around in this system, 10, 20 metre intercepts from surface in that sort of 1 to 2 gram gold grade. Is right in the sweet spot of the material that can be processed in this area. And like a lot of our prospects, there's infrastructure nearby, so there's a haul road that's just out of screen to the bottom right of that slide. Bluetooth is on the same geological trend. It's quite a way further north. Very similar, intercepts to 12 metres at 1.3 in really sparse drilling. It's had one campaign of drilling way back in the 80s, and no one's been there since. So looking forward to getting into that one. That one is fully permitted. We can drill that tomorrow. And if you look on that screen, you can see the prospect called Box Soak up to the north. That's the first of our greenfield properties, so let me show you that. So sometimes we get some free kicks, and at Box Soak, we got a free kick because there's a neighbour that's drilling a resource drill out from north to south to our tenement boundary. And in that photo box there, you can see that drill out, and the blue line at the bottom is our boundary. A no-brainer follow-up. There's no drilling south of our fence. We took the rig in there, did a couple of reconnaissance lines, got some anomalous results that were reported, and we've just been back in there with the rig to do some infill drilling. Those samples at the lab, hopefully we get some good news out of that. You can see there's a series of other structural targets on that tenement as well. Typically, in that case, there's those scale bars are 2 kilometres apart, so they're big areas that are undrilled. Bandiera is actually quite similar. We've got a drill out from a competitor immediately south of us. So very strong mineralised trend runs due north into our Bandiera tenement. The geology looks quite interesting. It's quite complex. It's got a bend in it. There's some intrusions. We, again, have taken the air-core rig in here just recently, and fingers crossed we'll get some further good news that we can take to RC stage. And one last of these, there's lots of them in the deck, and come and see me in the booth, I can talk through them. Immediately north of Statesman's Well, there's, again, multi-kilometre undrilled targets in the same geology that hosts Statesman. That's a photo of typical terrain in the area. So hopefully that gives you a little picture of the company. We're effectively cash-backed at the minute, so the EV is 0. It doesn't make sense considering we've got quite a few advanced properties on our books. We're using the air-core rig on and off all through the year. It just takes one air-core hole in the paddock to really change the company. We've got plenty of finances to look at building our asset base. We can most definitely take on some business development opportunities. We're wrapping up, cash-back company. We've got what we see as a really valuable land position. We demonstrated we can sell things in this area and top up our cash balance. Plenty of drilling activity. It's a great place to do business, and a really experienced bunch of guys and backers working for us. Come and see me in the booth. I can talk geology all day long, but thank you for attention this afternoon.